Welcome to the OutThere Colorado Podcast. Once again, I'm Spencer here with Seth.
Present, accounted for.
We got Tim Page behind, my voice cracked there a little bit. Tim Page behind the audio video production.
Give it up for Tim.
Which, as we've mentioned a little bit here and there, all of our podcast videos in their entirety are now going to be available on YouTube. So if you want to see some photos, you want to see some graphics, want to look at us while we're talking, check it out there. But otherwise, we will continue to put this up on Spotify and Apple as well. So just trying to make it a little bit more accessible in more places.
A little more modern.
Yeah, a little more modern, high tech.
Stepping into the modern age.
We've got our
modern
cups on
men.
display this time.
Oh, I didn't know.
You'll notice our the decor of our table will slowly improve over time. So
I have one of these mugs.
You can get the mugs at the store if you want a mug. These are sample mugs.
Gotta pay for one.
If you want a mug, Seth,
There's no perks of doing this show.
I will buy you a mug, Seth. You can take your pick. But yeah, once again, we've got a lot of interesting Colorado topics to discuss today. A lot of food, a lot of outdoorsy stuff. An interesting cold case that has some developments in it too. So, but yeah, let's get into the weekend recap, Seth.
We have a podcast that's hard to define. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's just Colorado.
Food, outdoors, Colorado. Towns, travel. Yeah. But then cold cases,
it's notable.
Run the spectrum.
It's a notable one, but yeah. We can recap this, Seth. What did you get into this weekend?
Well, I think I would put it this way. I hiked one of my favorite hikes in Colorado Springs, and I ate what is now my favorite pizza in Colorado Springs.
There we go.
Tried that for the first time.
Tell us about the hike first.
I was going to say, we're going to talk pizza later.
Yeah.
There's got to be some build up for that.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
The hike was section 16. If any listeners here in Colorado Springs are listening, they know this hike very well, as it's known, section 16, right? Part of Red Rock Canyon open space. Just one of the great loops in town. I actually hadn't done it for quite a while.
It's gone through some changes too.
I was going to say,
yeah. A rock slide over there recently.
Yeah. But then the lower part of the trail, has gotten redesigned. I was familiar with this. It got a reroute for some sustainability purposes, as they called it. So I don't think I'd been on it since they did all that in the past few years, as far as I know, But yeah, just a great hike, just good workout, close to 6 miles.
Did you go up the steep
there? I did. I always go, it was like counterclockwise.
Yeah, counterclockwise. That's the way I did too.
Seems like
I love that hike too. It's a great run also.
I was going to say, and I feel like I see more runners doing the other way. It seems like. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, that hill's tricky to run up. But if you're training for something like the Ascent or the 14ers, it's a great hill to run up in terms of training. So
and coming down too. I mean,
not to be confused with the section 16 that's up by Black Forest. That's another section 16.
Yeah.
But yeah, over in
the trees.
That North Cheyenne Canyon area, I guess, kind of a little bit north of North Cheyenne Canyon. But
I like that Black Forest one too, though.
Yeah.
Just flat but in the tall pines there. Nice commune with the trees there.
Yeah, you don't really get those like tall pines in a lot of this like western part of Colorado Springs, whereas it's just like these like
the shade.
There's a term for it, but like the pine forest where it is just the flat with the big trees that just rise up.
Yep.
Yeah, section 16 is a favorite.
Yeah,
for me,
no doubt.
For sure.
Great hike. And then a lot of landscaping, and I think I'm going to stop boring people about.
Let's get into something else related to rocks. I want to hear.
I don't want to talk about landscaping.
I want to hear about this pizza place you went to
called Rocks 24. That's Rock *S, like a name. It was told. I was told that the name comes from a rock and rolling owner, rock and roll theme in there that you can kind of pick up, and then 24 for the Highway 24 bridge that's overhead. Total hidden gem. Opened in March, as far as I know. And I was totally unaware of it. I mean, quiet opening. Leave it to Midwest humility, to Chicago style pizza.
Yes, and you're a Chicago boy.
Yes,
right? So you know your Chicago style pizza.
And I was gonna show a picture on the video, but I guess we have the technology.
Yeah, that'll just pop up somewhere.
So the picture will speak louder than any word.
Yeah, so Chicago style deep dish
done right.
And also tavern style too.
And the similarly beloved tavern style out of Chicago that less people are familiar with. And I should say, if there are some Chicago area listeners, I've heard more recently that that this tavern style, that is a phrase that's like neither like there's no history in that. Like it's just thin crust pizza is what I've heard true Chicago people say.
Yeah,
So
I mean it's probably like
know.
cheap pizza you get at a bar while you're drinking some old style type of.
I guess so. I've been away from Chicago long enough to maybe be removed from the lore, but I've always known it as tavern style. That we're talking like that kind of that cracker thin. But yeah, Rock's 24 nailed it.
So just finally,
crispy, sweet, tomatoey sauce and gooey cheese and that crunchy one on that. I'm so happy.
I love Chicago style pizza too. So that's like my favorite, and it's so hard sometimes to find really good Chicago style pizza. And there's Billy's Old World Pizza. They have good pizza.
Yep, I've enjoyed that.
But just glad to see the Chicago style pizza spreading out a little bit.
If there are people listening, I mean, Chicago or non-Chicago, you got to venture over to this side of town for this place, man.
A true pizza pie.
Yeah.
That real.
What some people,
it looks. You showed me the photos. It looks exactly like pizza you get in Chicago.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I saw this and I was just in a nice tap room. Good selection of craft beer. I just sat at the bar beside myself with emotion. I finally found it. I found it. And it's just good people in there, you know. It just kind of felt like that Midwest nice going on in there, man, you know.
That's what I always love about Chicago. As far as big city goes, like you kind of get that hustle and bustle of the big city, but the people are very nice and food is very good.
Yeah.
So
I'm as you know, you can hear me. I'm still just thrilled that this is now available to me. I'm so glad I found it. I hope other people find it.
Yeah, I'll be headed there for one of these date nights, or maybe getting takeout for one of these date nights here soon. But yeah.
Hidden gem.
Speaking of date nights and speaking of hidden gems, we went to a great place. Me and my girlfriend went to a great place on Friday in Old Colorado City. I believe you've been there before, but Yellow Mountain Tea House.
Yes, I've heard. No, I've never been there.
You've never been to Yellow Mountain Tea House?
I've heard great things about that. Yeah.
All right. So dim sum is, this traditional Chinese style of meal, right? Where it's kind of think like tapas, but instead of Spanish cuisine, it's Chinese food. So you're getting like dumplings, you're getting the little bao buns. Chicken feet is a popular item on the menu. We did not have that there. I don't think they have that there, but things like spring rolls, you basically get a lot of things and then kind of share them with the table, right? So this Yellow Mountain Tea House place, it's very traditional in its sense, and they do this thing there where it's called a tea ceremony. So they probably have like 200 plus types of tea, just on all these walls and stuff. Just you look around, you pick your tea. It's like $5 for the tea ceremony. And then they brew that tea
right at the table
for you.
Cool.
And it is very cool. I went with a raspberry black tea, was delicious. Girlfriend went with a blueberry lavender green tea, also delicious. Hers was like purple too, which was like really cool. But it takes them like 45 seconds or 30 seconds to just kind of like stir it in with boiling water.
Steep
and then you just sit there with your little tiny cup, like this big, tiny cup of tea, and you just sip it while you're waiting on your food. And man, we got the food, and once that got to the table, it was incredible as well.
I've heard great things.
Maybe the best wonton soup I've ever had in my entire life. That was, I have a hard time saying that was our favorite because we liked everything.
Yeah.
But the wonton soup was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also had, so we had kind of these like barbecue pork buns.
I was going to ask,
very good. We had these juicy chicken buns, also very good. It had some like mushrooms in there. Absolutely delicious. We had this other thing, which I had never tried before, and apologies if I mispronounce this, but the Zhao Long Bao. It's basically like these little dumplings in this bone broth in this little cup. So you kind of like sip this broth out, and then you eat the dumpling, and then sip a little bit more of the broth out. It was just such like a peaceful, serene, relaxing experience, just all around.
It looks great in there,
yeah, and like even the seating. So you go in, and they have a few like traditional tables, right? They have a few tables that you'd probably see in other restaurants, right? But the majority of the seating is kind of on this raised platform where there's this little like bucket beneath it for your feet, and you take your shoes off. And then you're sitting on these like cushions, like right at the table.
Cool.
While they're making this tea right in front of you. Just a very unique dining experience in Colorado Springs. And I mean, I'll be back for sure. I think it has 4.5 stars on Google reviews. Well deserved. You can get tea to take home from there too. The staff, very friendly. It was our first time there, and it'd been a long time since I'd gone out for dim sum. So it was nice to kind of get walked through the menu and
cool.
Yeah, we didn't have reservations. Reservations probably recommended. It was Friday night, but we kind of beat the crowd. It did fill up as the night kind of went on. And I mean, we probably sat there even after we ate, just sitting there for like, 30, 45 minutes, just sipping on tea.
Yeah.
And just having good conversation and just
good
enjoying the atmosphere. Oh, it was a great date
night. Date night.
So that's a hidden gem date night spot.
Right in Old Colorado City there, right?
Right in Old Colorado City. You feel like you definitely don't feel like once you go inside, you don't feel like you just stepped off of a street that's known for its like Wild West vibes either, which is, it's cool. It was great on like a rainy or snowy day. Going there for tea and wonton soup.
Yeah, ooh. That's where my mind went.
Yeah, I'll be back for sure.
Producer Tim says he got some great loose leaf tea for his wife for Christmas last year.
Well, there you go.
So also a Christmas idea place.
There you go. Yeah, and they have all the little tea sets. They have a whole shop in there that you can buy various tea related items, and it was priced fairly too. Like the tea ceremony is $5, right? And you get pretty much, I think it's like basically unlimited amounts of tea. Like they'll keep pouring more water in the brew and making you more, and like all the little plates were like $6 or $7 each, and it came with 3 or 4 of the decent sized little buns and dumplings and stuff. So it was one of the cheaper date nights that we've had recently, and it was great. We'll be back for sure.
Sounds like I'll be there soon.
Sunday, I went to the Savannah Bananas game.
Yes, wearing the main event
Bananas hat right now, which I was actually in a full banana themed outfit at the game. So I didn't even wear the hat. I was in a cowboy hat, and then
you were a banana and a cowboy, huh?
I had a cowboy hat on, and then one of those like the 2-piece like lounge suits, where it's just banana print all over it.
My mind is going to a shout out to the fellow 90s kids listening. Bananas and pajamas.
Yeah.
You see some bananas and pajamas there?
No bananas and pajamas, but people were definitely
terrifying.
Yeah, very terrifying. People were definitely banana themed, right? And it was, man, I've been to the Rocky Stadium maybe 3 or 4 times. This was the first time I've been there for a sold out experience. I think it was like 52,000 people there.
Yeah.
It set a record, I think, for
I was going to say
most people at a 2-day, because it was a Saturday night game, and then Sunday they were playing the Firefighters. They ended up losing at the game I was at. Apparently they won Saturday night. But yeah, apparently like 104,000 people or something went to Coors Field between those 2 games.
Colorado's hungry for some good baseball.
Oh yeah. And this was
as the Savannah Bananas play.
Yeah, and this was entertaining. Like the doors open at like 1. The game starts at 3:30. So they're just doing all sorts of funny games before that.
Oh really?
Like they had this one game where they just put a baby on the ground, or toddler, and had it crawl to its favorite parent. And that was
just
amazing.
Random stuff like that.
They had another one where I think they threw a banana out on the ground and blindfolded some guy, and he just had to crawl around
find the banana
while the crowd's like,
yeah. What a great idea!
Yeah.
So
awesome.
It's kind of tapping into that like the Globetrotters.
Yeah,
right.
Kind of, but it's a real game, and I don't think the Globetrotters games, I think they kind of have more of a script, I want to say, and more goofiness going on with the Globetrotters. Like they're hiding the basketball, they're stealing it from the ref, things like that.
Yeah.
The Savannah Bananas and the Firefighters, like they were having a good time.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're playing real baseball.
Okay.
And they scored a little bit differently. So it's like you basically like you get a point per inning until the last inning. So whoever gets the most runs in that inning, you get 1 point.
Okay.
So you don't get like inning 3, you can't get 10 runs. Even if you get 10 runs, you get 1 point.
Yeah.
Also, if there's 4 balls, it's not a walk. You have to sprint. So it's a race. And they can still get you out. I think if a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out also, which is kind of funny. They have a 2-hour time limit too, which they came in right at 2 hours. The whole time, like this DJ has a list of like 800 songs probably or more, thousands of songs, but it's just little 15-second snippets of like iconic classics, and the teams, like all the players kind of have their little dances that they'll be doing on the sidelines depending on what song's on. I mean, it was awesome. I went up there, we had a group of 5. One of my buddies was lucky enough to win the lottery, so to speak, to get these tickets, and then bought all 5 because you could only get 5. And another one of the buddies that I was with said, and this is a compliment, said they kind of found a way to capture like the TikTok experience where it's just constant engagement, just every like little thing. There's something to look at. Like there's always something going on.
There's a reason why they're a cultural phenomenon because they're tapping into the culture,
Man, and we were trying to figure out, we're like, okay, what are the Savannah Bananas worth, right? Because the whole time we're thinking, we're like, it's very hilarious that you have like these professional baseball teams struggling to sell out stadiums. Meanwhile, the Bananas come in and they're able to, set a record.
Yeah.
Like pretty wild stuff.
Yeah.
So we're looking into like how much are they worth? Because it's just owned by a family, I believe.
Is that right?
And the internet was saying up to $1 billion. And there's 4 teams in the league. It's like an actual thing going on. I think one of the goals too was to, at least for locals down in Savannah, trying to keep it as affordable as possible so people have something to do. But yeah, if anyone listening or watching has a chance to go to a Savannah Bananas game, 100% recommend it. I wish it was one of those things where we could just go do this on a regular basis. Like it was an absolute blast.
So if the Forbes, Forbes maintains a team value standing. So the Colorado Rockies at close to 1.5. You're saying the Savannah Bananas in its, how old are they? 2-year history?
I think one of my buddies said 2016 was when they were founded, but I
have racked up close to the value that the Rockies have since 1992.
And presumably that would be for the whole league too, right? Because these other teams play each other as well. Like you can go see the Party Animals and the Firefighters playing.
Where are the Firefighters based?
I think they're all just in Savannah.
Okay.
I want to say, I think it's just all Savannah. And then there's the Tailgaters too, I believe, the other team. But
well, surely they need to expand.
Yeah, right. And I mean,
right?
Just it was so fast paced, and it was still like good baseball. And they do funny stuff too. Like if a ball is coming into outfield, they'd like knock it up into the air with their glove and like spin around and then catch it and stuff. Like little things like that. But I mean, they're actually playing baseball, so it was cool. And they also ended a shootout. So if it's tied at the end of the game, basically they have like one outfielder, the pitcher, and then the batter, and then it's just a race to get a run. So the Firefighters went first. That dude just like cracked it out there kind of into that left field area, and batter takes off running, the outfielder running across the entire field trying to get this ball. So yeah, I mean, it was very entertaining. Positive vibes too. Thought there would be some booing when the Firefighters came out, but there wasn't at all. It was just,
we love our firefighters in Colorado.
Right? You always think like, because they're obviously like not like it's a Savannah Bananas, and then also these other teams.
They're the villains, right?
Yeah. So you thought thinking they're the villains, not the villains at all. Like it was just positivity and just there's a band that's playing outside in the streets.
Really?
It was a great time.
That's funny.
Great time.
I've never actually, sometimes they're on like TV. I've never actually tuned in.
Well, and apparently I think it's something like millions around the world watch them. That's what they were saying at the game, at least, like live streaming their games. And I didn't even know that was a thing. The second I mentioned it to a couple other people, they're like, oh yeah, I've streamed the Savannah Banana games before. So either way.
That's funny, man.
Good to be back in Coors Field. Beautiful stadium.
The Bananas have a new fan.
Yeah, I have the hat. I got my banana gear.
So funny.
It was a very good time. Got one of those big, what are the Rocky dogs too? The like foot long hot dog with sauerkraut.
Oh man.
Peppers and onion.
I think I'm gonna go at the end of the month for the Cubbies.
I think you'll probably agree with me on this one, Seth. Seeing as both of us have our individual ties to Chicago, but girlfriend put ketchup on her hot dog at the game, and that was a red flag. I was like, how are you doing that? I can't do it.
I'll just pretend like she didn't. I'll just pretend like she didn't.
I can't do it. But yeah, let's get into some news real quick.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of glaze over this because just like what happened last week, these numbers are going to be outdated by the time I'm saying them probably. But there are currently 11 fires in Colorado, at least that I could track down, that have some level of non-containment.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest one just became, with this morning's report, the 5th biggest fire in Colorado history. So the Lee Fire, it's burning a few miles west of Meeker in Colorado, 113,000 acres, a little bit over that, with 7% containment.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, that containment is in that kind of that northeastern edge of the fire, which is right where Meeker is. So that's a good thing for the town of Meeker. Meeker actually dropped back on their evacuation status to where they're now on the lowest of the 3 tiers that they're using to describe. So town of Meeker is not being evacuated. I don't even think it's on the pre-evacuation notice. I think they're pretty much telling people to be prepared for a status change, but sounds like the fight against that fire is at least going well for the sake of the town of Meeker. So notable news, something to follow along. Yeah, that got me looking into some of these, like the largest fires by acreage of Colorado, right? So this Lee fire is, like I said, the 5th largest, right behind the Hayman fire, about 20,000 acres, 25,000 acres behind the Hayman fire of 2002. So long-term residents will definitely remember the Hayman fire.
Yeah.
And then to round out the top 3, the largest fire ever, Cameron Peak fire in 2020, almost 209,000 acres. And then also in 2020 were the East Troublesome fire and the Pine Gulch fire. So, so very scary fire situation out in western Colorado right now. Strong winds expected to continue, fire conditions, low humidity, heat expected to continue. I saw some rain on the radar for Friday, but who knows? But either way, dangerous situation. The drought in Colorado, which I was looking into this last Thursday or Friday. The drought in Colorado. So it's basically the way they judge drought is they have these 4 tiers of drought, and then there's also this abnormally dry, which is tier 0, so to speak. We haven't really had anything in that 3rd tier, which is extreme drought, much at all this year. Currently 20% of the state, and all that is in this northwestern Colorado area for the most part, and western Colorado, is at that drought tier 3. So hasn't been that way, or hasn't been that high since I think it was May 2022, I want to say. When drought gets that bad, you start having insect infestations, you start having larger fires, a lot of outdoor recreation access tends to be reduced. The water levels will get low, so it's hard to raft. Fish kills occur just because the water gets too hot. So a lot of fishing reductions. Skiing can even be impacted too if there's so it says on this. So so and also a side effect can even be like mandatory water restrictions. So scary situation out west. Something to follow along with.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, but moving on from that,
I got some news in my inbox just now, buddy.
Oh yeah, what do you got?
We got the new 14er hiking use report.
Oh,
hot off the presses. As,
off the press. Let's do it live.
CFI, as Colorado 14ers Initiative, put it to me in a subject headline in email. So I'm really just digging into it now while we're talking. So I can't give a great breakdown, but they're saying just slightly up from year to year. Little background if people aren't familiar. CFI for 10 years now, this is the 10th edition of this report, has been tracking, or at least tracking estimates. They very much call them estimates of how many people hike 14ers every year. And they call it hiker days. Correct me if I'm wrong. I bet you're somewhat familiar, but it's like one hiker representing one day, as they call it.
Exactly, yeah. So if the same hiker climbs Quandary Peak 5 times, those count as 5 hikers.
Rather than calling them.
Yeah, it's not just that.
How many people hike it.
They count as 5, not 1.
Yeah.
So
that's all to say. They estimated last year, 2024, around 265,000 hiker days. That's just up close, 1.9%, as they call it, and they're crediting that to the reopening of the DeCalibran Loop. If people recall kind of the landowner issues up there, and Democrat officially becoming public and unlocking that loop, people stayed away for the year prior, with the landowner announcing it being closed. It was private property previously, so I'm just seeing that as what they're crediting. Might have been a slight revised calculation, as they say, for Mount Blue Sky. Highest use, people won't be surprised, Bierstadt and Quandary once again. Which, I always thought, like, with Quandary's reservation system and all the changes there, I always kind of thought maybe we might see numbers drop off a little bit at Quandary.
I did too.
But
apparently the reservation system works really well, though. Yeah. Like you tend to see people
still really accessible for people.
Yeah, and they take the shuttle in from Breck, which obviously that adds another step to getting on the trailhead. But I think most people, once they climb Quandary, they probably end up in Breck anyway. Grabbing food or beer or whatever. So yeah, I mean it I guess it makes sense, but I'm surprised that it keeps those numbers up there. What was Quandary Peak this year?
In terms of estimates?
Yeah.
They're in the range of, and they always put like individual peaks in a range. So Bierstadt and Quandary are in an estimated range of between 25 to 30,000.
Yeah, and that's where they were last year too. I got the 2023 data.
Numbers are still down from the COVID days. I was scrolling around to see what that record was. You remember? I mean, gosh, we were like in 2021, probably 2022, seeing really heavy use, and it's gone down since then, which is probably representative of the overall outdoor recreation picture. Yeah, things have kind of returned to what might be a new median, but
it's pretty wild to look at the difference, to be honest. Yeah. So, what do you say it was this year?
265,000.
265,000. So in 2020, it was 415,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's significantly higher. Mount Beardstadt that year estimated 35,000 to 40,000 people. Quandary Peak in 2020 estimated 45,000 to 50,000 people.
Hence them putting that reservation system in. Yep.
Well, and the crazy thing too is like Beardstadt, there's no reservation system there.
Right.
Parking is always insane when you're out on Beardstadt, and they just announced some like new parking restrictions along that road. Right. So it'll be interesting to see if those parking restrictions impact the user numbers, but yeah, that's crazy though.
Yeah. CFI, I'm just kind of, again, scrolling through the info here. Several factors, influencing the estimated hiking levels along with their own capabilities, right? Their own technology that they use. Some of these counters on trails, like that's expanded over the years. But they also use, if I'm recalling right, they've always tried to compile data from 14ers.com, try to get a track on just how many, what engagement looks like there. But there's also mention of the state demographer's office kind of noting much slower population growth recently than in prior decades.
Yeah. What about the Sangre de Cristo range? You got those numbers up. Does that have the best estimate for the total there?
Best estimate around 8,500 across those peaks.
Okay, so that's lower than last year.
Put it to what's classified as the front range peaks being Longs, Pikes, Grays and Torreys, Blue Sky, Bierstadt. Compiled all together, those are closer to best estimate 86,500. I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's always an interesting little insight too into where can I get like a more solitude?
Well, and that's what I'm always curious about, because so in 2023, Sangre de Cristo peaks, 10,000 total between those. And that's like Blanca, Ellingwood, Crestone Peak, Crestone Needle, Kit Carson, Challenger, Humboldt, Calabra, Mount Lindsay, and Little Bear Peak. They are more remote. They are a little bit more technical, maybe with the exception of, Humboldt is pretty straightforward. But I'm always curious to see when more people start heading down to that range.
Yeah.
Pretty close to Colorado Springs, not so close to Denver compared to some of these other options. But man, some of those peaks down there are just my favorite. Like
closest thing we've got to the San Juans.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's how I've always thought of it.
Yeah, I got a buddy down there right now, and for the first time, and he's loving it. Like he's. I mean,
I've always
spending some time there climbing some of those mountains.
The San Juan's just absolutely majestic, but Sangre's, very similar features, man.
Yeah. Kind of a taste of the San Juans on a maybe smaller scale, we'll say.
Yeah.
That's interesting stuff. I'll be curious to dig into this here after the show. But yeah, speaking of mountains though, you got something coming out about Front Range Summits.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So that's an interesting segue, because I got to thinking about, just some kind of little feature that grants the Front Range masses a summit experience without having to go to 14ers, setting the sights lower, but still great experience close to home, right? I was kind of thinking about what are some of these kind of quintessential small mountains, 7,000 to 9,000 feet that, really make us fall in love with the outdoors
Mm-hmm.
close to home. So I was thinking about stuff like from north to south, along the population corridors running
Mm-hmm.
from Fort Collins to Boulder, Denver area to Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
So,
what are a few of your favorites?
well, start up north, around Fort Collins. I've done both of these. Horsetooth Rock, of course, that very prominent point from Horsetooth Mountain Open Space.
Yeah, we were talking about that one of the days you were out, I think, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, that's a great hike.
Great little detour to some waterfall there, Horsetooth Falls.
Mm-hmm.
On a similar scale, Arthur's Rock.
I haven't done that one.
Another high point that's very popular around Fort Collins within Laurie State Park, actually. Kind of I'm picturing it right. That'd be the northwest edge of Horsetooth Reservoir where that park goes in. But
nice.
Yeah, that's a beautiful little hike, Around Boulder, there's things like Mount Sanitas, right? Everyone knows Mount Sanitas. Maybe not everyone is as familiar with the history of the Boulder, Colorado Sanitarium, which was built in 1896. Mount Sanitas gets its name for that wellness retreat, or that word meaning wellness, right? Definitely keeps people in shape around Boulder.
Oh, yeah.
It's a tough little hike. And then Green Mountain, right there around Boulder. I love getting to the top of Green Mountain. Getting down into South Boulder Peak for the more adventurous, right? Another prominent point, part of that skyline there above 8,500 feet, I want to say. I think it gets called like the highest point of Boulder's skyline.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
So yeah, a little more adventure involved there if you go up through Shadow Canyon. And then just stuff in the Denver area that everyone knows, right? Or if you don't know, I mean, it's great to learn more about the Table Mountains.
Oh, yeah.
South Table Mountains.
Table Mountain's very cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool vibe there, too, because it's different than your typical mountain in Colorado.
Yeah.
Most
flat tops, close to home. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always thought like it like South Table has like more of a local feel from my experience. Whereas North Table, you get like a lot more of the masses converging on North Table Mountain.
Yeah, I discovered North Table first, so that must be the case.
Yeah. There's a great overlook at South Table called Carl's Point. It's a great way to set a course there. What else did I put on here? Carpenter Peak is one I really enjoyed in Roxborough State Park. Everyone goes there for the Red Rocks, of course, right? That Garden of the Gods like formations there. But there's a great summit experience up Carpenter's Peak. It was like a 6.5 mile out and back. Great views up there. And then kind of just getting down into Colorado Springs. We all love Mount Muskoka.
Oh, yeah.
That's
always one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Great, just like day hike,
Yeah. There's a newer way to get up Mount Muskoka. In the past few years, they've built these trails called Sweetwater Canyon, which offers an alternate way up Mount Muskoka.
Well, and what was the trail that they just built, maybe like that goes up from the road directly?
Daniels Pass.
Yes, Daniels Pass.
Daniels Pass to Sweetwater Canyon.
Okay.
Yep. All in there. That's kind of a new fun way to get up there.
Yeah,
people are familiar with that listening. It's a new way. Yeah. Mount Herman up north, of course. That's a big one. Hulking monolith defining that northern edge of Rampart Range. Then Cheyenne Mountain. I mean,
it's a long hike.
I bet there's still a lot of people who haven't taken on Dixon Trail.
Yeah. If you're looking for a challenge, you will be in the sun for a large portion of that hike. And that one kicked my butt when I was not expecting it to kick my butt.
On par with like how a 14er kicks your butt.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, there were certain aspects of it that maybe were even a little bit more difficult. Just being in the heat, just the amount of
time you're out there,
water you're just losing. And whereas like a 14er, you're still losing water, but it's cooler. Because that was when that was around the time when I was knocking out like 2 or 3 peaks a week, and that one still kicked my butt then for whatever reason. I think it was the heat, but either way,
it keeps people away for sure. But it's interesting to think like, without a doubt, the second most storied mountain in the Pikes Peak region, but doesn't get nearly, the Pikes Peak attention.
And one of the most recognizable, right? You got the towers on top.
Yeah.
Secret military base inside.
NORAD, yeah. Otherwise known as Cheyenne Space
Mountain
Force
Complex.
Station. Yeah,
something. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it just kind of occurred to me like, and kind of convenient that we were just talking about 14ers, but I think, people on the Front Range fell in love with the outdoors for more so stuff like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, the reason
stuff close to home and there's not a shortage. I mean, that's what putting this together made me realize is like, man, there's just so much out there. Mount Morrison behind Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Yeah.
Another little challenging hike that, everyone pays attention to other stuff at Red Rocks, but there's a nice summit experience right there.
And head into a lot of these too, you'll find way fewer crowds. Like we were just talking about the 14ers, not like numbers specifically. I wish we had a number for how many people go up Muskoka. But Mount Cutler too, right by Muskoka. Like you can kind of hit it on the way, or if you're looking for, I think that hike's like 1.2 miles round trip, but beautiful views also. So.
And then
you say Blodgett?
Blodgett. I have Blodgett on here. Yep. Another very prominent point on the north side there. Definitely more strenuous, and there's some route finding involved there. Not always an easy trail all the way up.
Every time I end up on a different, a little bit different way. Even like trying to stay on the trail, I'm always like, there's always a point where I'm like, I don't think this is quite the same way that I. And
for people listening who hasn't done it, who haven't done it and have an interest in doing it, I mean, fair warning. There's always. It seems like every year, a few search and rescue situations up there. Yeah. So
it's steep. And
and people lose it. Yeah.
And it stays snowy late into the season, and that snowy gets pretty icy. So
So there's still adventure involved in a lot of these, for sure.
For sure. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta get up to Boulder and hike a little bit more up there.
Yeah, I finally got familiar with I think I was talking about not too long about all that stuff around Flagstaff. I'd never explored around Flagstaff Mountain up there. Another quintessential mountain on this list, but just the stuff around there. There's so much fun stuff.
Much. Yeah. It's Boulder for a reason, right? Yeah. Let's get into let's go to Leadville here. Yeah. Let's keep the mountain talk going.
Coming up. Big time in Leadville. Just got done with the mountain bike race over the weekend. And then this weekend coming up is the run, the Leadville Trail 100 run. Yeah.
How many years have they been doing that now?
Oh, goes back to the 80s. 1980s. Did it start in 81 or 83? One of those years is coming to mind.
Yeah, and for people who might not know or know much about these mountainous trail runs, right? These like long distance ultra marathons. A prized, you said 83? Okay, 83.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
A prized aspect of them is that you get belt buckles.
Right.
So belt buckles, a major tradition, instead of maybe like your traditional medal or a trophy, you get these giant belt buckles. So and you sat down with somebody to chat about the belt buckles of the Leadville 100. So you heard about the race, 100-mile race. Tell us about the belt buckles, though.
The tradition of the buckles, as you were alluding to, is very right in line with the race itself. So the race starts in 83, and right around that same time, this couple who started it, Ken and Marilee, had this idea for the belt buckles, right? The way they told me the story, they both came from kind of farm ranching backgrounds, Texas and Oklahoma. And of course, in the rodeo, what do you get? You get a belt buckle, right? And in horse culture, what do you get? You get a belt buckle. So they had the thought of, this has got to be a belt buckle. And I think I'm still researching this, but I think we saw that tradition elsewhere in the ultra running world, which was very much still coming along at that point. The Leadville 100 very much played a role in the culture that is now ultra running. But I want to say the Western states was doing a buckle.
I was curious. I was about to ask.
Still researching that.
Yeah.
Story is still coming together. But anyway, very much on the forefront of a tradition that we do see elsewhere now, even in Colorado. The High Lonesome comes to mind. The Hard Rock comes to mind, where we see buckles. But Leadville very much helped establish that kind of tradition.
Very cool. I'm reading here. Belt buckle, first belt buckle for a trail running race. And this is just on ultrasignup.com. Seems to originate in the 70s.
Okay.
So,
with Western states?
Western States trail ride.
Yep.
In 24 hours.
Where horses were involved. Yeah.
Very cool.
I believe so. Yeah. But anyway, this is very much a beloved tradition in Colorado, no doubt. And really neat. Since the 80s, it's been in the same family, the Sanchez family in Denver from the beginning. Started with Serafin Sanchez and his small business making these medals. continues with his son today, still making these
Very cool.
buckles. Pardon me, buckles.
Is that a full-time
Handmade.
job? Is that a full-time job?
There's a lot of aspects to the company, the small company that is Colorado Silver Star, but this is like this really put them on the map.
Very cool.
And a lot of the other buckles that they make are, have molds. They're more mass produced, might be a way of putting it. Machines can make them. When it comes to Leadville, it's all about the hand, right? They want these to be handmade.
Wow.
So, like the etching, that really pretty etching and details that you see on it, kind of some of that floral stuff. Like they're just pretty buckles. That's all hand etched.
Wow.
On there.
I would not have guessed that.
Thousands.
Yeah, I was going to ask how many they have to make a year.
Yeah.
Because how many runners are in it every year?
What did he say? I think he told me he made close to 2,000 for between the bike, the run, and the small stage race.
Dang.
Close
Yeah,
to
I'm seeing
2,000.
around 800 athletes participated in each year. So,
and remember, they make all these just in case, but like in the bike race, I think it's something like maybe 70% actually finish. There's cutoffs associated to get the buckle, and it's something like 50% in the run that finish to get the buckle.
Yeah, one of my ultra marathon running buddies, I was catching up with him a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about the Leadville 100 coming up.
Yeah,
and he was explaining, and I mean, this dude does well. Like he's a very competitive runner.
Yeah.
Expects the race to take 25 hours for him on if it's all perfect. Yeah. Maybe more like 28 or so on assuming that just the regular problems that arise on a 100-mile race arise.
Any number of them, yeah.
Yeah. And even with all of his skill and experience and like I said, he's a competitive runner. He was still talking about how the cutoff times are so competitive in Leadville 100 compared to a lot of other races.
Yeah.
And
explaining how cherished the buckles are and what the buckles mean for people. Like it's like that representation of doing this extremely hard thing, and living to tell about it. And I didn't realize they make for people who do 10, i.e. 1,000 miles, they make a bigger buckle for that. See, I can like make shapes with my hands now and people can see it.
There you go.
On video now.
Yeah. There you go.
And then they do a for people who've done it 20 years, there's a bigger one for that. And then there are 3 people. There's 2 mountain bikers and 1 runner who has accomplished the 30.
Dang.
And it's like a hubcap.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was just talking to a guy before coming on this, one of the mountain bikers local here in Colorado Springs. And he's like, I can't wear this thing, like it cuts.
I was about to ask if it was a functional buckle.
Yeah,
I feel like you just put that up on the wall, That's,
he's like, I only wear this one time, and that's at the Leadville 100.
That's
he's like, if I walked around with this thing, people would be like, who the heck is this guy? Who does he think he is? But there is a pride to that, right? People who have these buckles are very proud because of, again, like for people who don't know about this race and who can't comprehend, like, what it's like to be moving for, like you say, 25 hours
on a good day
through sickness, through heat, through cold, through fatigue, through like feeling like you're going to pass out, heart racing, trying to eat food. These are not easy things,
Well, and it's over 12,000 feet of elevation gain
Hope
throughout the
Pass.
race, and it's actually 105 miles too. It's not 100, so it's
up toward Hope Pass, or as some people call it,
12,500 feet.
Pass.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So high elevation, weather is inevitably going to be something whenever you're running that long anywhere in Colorado. You're going to encounter some sort of weather
injury, almost inevitably. You're gonna be dealing with some kind of pain.
You're running through the night. Under darkness.
The night, what do they call them? The night demons, where you start seeing things.
I want to say it's also one where you only get pacers, I think, after like the 60th mile or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to hold any of your stuff, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
So a few things make it a little tricky compared to some other ultra marathons where you can have a pacer the whole time, and they can also carry your bag if you need them to in certain races. So
going back to that point of pride, I found it interesting. Seraphin was telling me, again, the man over the family business who makes these buckles every year since the 80s, was telling me that like every now and then, not often, but there's been like a couple people who call and say they need their buckle replaced, right? And he has to look into that. He has to check that they finish the race.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a tribe. Mm-hmm. You can't just get one of these buckles.
Yeah,
at this point, like you can't just call and order one of these buckles. Like there needs to be some investigation to make sure you are indeed worthy of the buckle.
You're making me want to start running again and try to get one of these buckles.
They are cool looking, man. Yeah. They are cool looking.
Yeah, that's something you cherish and pass down to your kids.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here, I kind of to move on to another topic. More serious topic, but something that's relevant. So back in 2016, a woman, 29 years old, mother of one, her name's Crystal Ann Reisinger. She disappeared from the town of Crestone, very remote place in the San Luis Valley. Her case was pretty much just a cold case. No one really knew anything about where she ended up. Until this podcast series came out called Up and Vanished. It's an extremely popular true crime podcast, but it covered her case over the course of a season, and this really got a lot of public interest around her case. She had moved to Crestone about a year before that. I think she worked at a local brewery, got really involved in this local community, and essentially the report was that she was last seen at this drum circle that took place, Full Moon Drum Circle. And there are different accounts about when she was last seen, but that tends to be the most accepted one. So, and then whenever they went into her apartment, her phone or medication were still there. So something had happened to Crystal. No one knew what happened to Crystal. And you can listen to that podcast on Up and Vanished about it. They really get into like just the community of Crestone and just what it's like. You're in the middle of nowhere, small town, extremely religiously diverse spot. Yep. I think the most religiously diverse spot in the country or world or something in terms of just various spiritual groups and religious groups that are headquartered there. 300 people live there. And I think the podcast starts off with someone explaining, it might be the sheriff explaining how long it takes help to arrive when anything happens in Crestone. It's like you're looking at like a 45-minute arrival time. So it's one of these places where you really have to know how to take care of yourself. Crime can tend to be an issue just in the San Luis Valley in general, sometimes with how remote it is. But either way, Crystal Reisinger disappeared. In 2018, a lot more information started to come out about this case with this Up and Vanished podcast episode. But that season ends and they have maybe some ideas of what happened based on interviews that they've had with various residents and people that knew her. But it doesn't really end with a true conclusion, we'll say. And I'll be honest, I hadn't heard any news about this case for probably 4 or 5 years at this point. But beginning of August, the Colorado Bureau of Investigations announced that a canine search took place at a specific location in Crestone believed to be connected to the case. So that took place on August 6th. They had 4 human remains detection dogs that were involved. So pretty big news for people that have been following this case and following that podcast. Just that there's something happening. They didn't release any information about any potential findings, but for people that have been following this case for years now, some people 9 years now, it is some level of a development. It's evidence that at least this effort to try to solve the case is still continuing with boots on the ground too. So yeah, quick update there. Highly recommend that podcast if you're interested in learning more about this case. Really gets into kind of the the culture in Crestone, and it's a heartbreaking case. Crystal's son was living in Denver with the son's dad at the time, and she, like I said, she had moved to Crestone. But yeah, something to look into to see kind of this different side of Colorado, because you've heard of Crestone before, and I think this podcast does a very good job of kind of setting that scene in Crestone.
Beyond the case itself.
Beyond the case. So just from a cultural standpoint, even just interesting to hear a little bit about Crestone. So you have one more topic that you wanted to chat about. You thought you said we always have our little discussion
little behind the
here.
scenes.
And Seth says, you say, you think it's very interesting here. So So anytime Seth says he thinks something is very interesting, I'm always going to make sure that we at least touch on it.
We're testing the audience. At least we're going to find out what Seth finds interesting. Maybe no one else finds interesting, but he talks about it anyways.
Yeah, let's go for it. So turkey tracks.
Yeah, turkey tracks. So wonder how familiar people are with this. It's definitely come up in headlines over the years. And in a lot of cases, it's come up in headlines for where wildfires have started or sparked. They usually get addressed pretty quick because it's a very accessible area. Think north of Woodland Park, off Highway 67, really just over the Teller County line into Douglas County there, right when those lines start to converge. There's this tract of Pike National Forest off the highway that over the years has become very popular for target shooting, right? People going out with all sorts of firearms, quite frankly. There's kind of some crazy stuff over the years. To shoot targets, in some cases blow up things. It's caused a lot of controversy among people who live close out there, hearing this, reporting stray bullets. And it's kind of was a flashpoint of this broader effort that really over the past 10 years, the Forest Service has led just a lot of conversations about how do we address target shooting, which, if people don't know, is a legal and historic activity in the National Forest. Something that's allowed. It's been allowed. How do we address that in up against this growing Front Range population, where there's this convergence of hiking and biking and camping and off-roading? Forest Service has just over the years reported close calls, injuries, as they put it, at least one fatality. That's how they've messaged this thing. And then growing resource issues, shot up trees. They've included pictures of shot up trees, trash, concerns about maybe water quality, right? So there's a long conversation played out over the past 10 years about how to address this. And I think I've talked about it on this show before. Just earlier this year, they came out with what they believe to be a plan of addressing this. And long story short, it's closing. It's going to outlaw something like 73% of the national forest to shooting while ranges are developed, right? Like professionally designed and built ranges where people can, as they like to think, get a good experience shooting in a kind of controlled environment for that, right?
Yeah.
So turkey tracks is one of these. I think 6 ranges that they identified as suitable. For its proximity to populations, again, for its accessibility. There's parts of that topography that they think are good, backstops and stuff like that. Update now being Forest Service, as we all know, is in a position where things have always happened pretty slow in the Forest Service, and there's a lot of people who think they're going to happen slower now with some of the staffing changes and things going on in the federal government. Along comes Douglas County with this proposal to potentially develop that range and oversee it on a special use permit. Kind of like what we see at campgrounds around the state and scenic areas around the state. There are plenty of examples where the Forest Service issues these special use permits for other entities to run certain places. Take it out of the Forest Service hands, right? So yeah, I'm kind of paying attention to how this maybe develops. What can the county potentially achieve out there at Turkey?
I think if it's the place I'm thinking of, I've been up there like one time during COVID with a couple of friends, and a couple of friends that are like in that hunting community that I have. If it is the place I'm thinking, they don't really go up there anymore because they do talk about it being a little bit too rowdy, and obviously there's a very, very fine line of how rowdy can, obviously zero rowdiness when firearms are involved. So, they pretty much don't go up there anymore because it is a little bit, there's a level of sketch that just exists.
I hear a lot about that from people.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the obvious questions is for the county, and the question I asked, right? Like, what does management look like? What does this operation entail? Are we talking about oversight? Are we talking about, sustainability? Does that mean fees potentially to run this place? And I was kind of referred to some surveying that went on throughout this process to manage target shooting across the forest. And there was kind of a lot of split feelings about oversight being necessary and some people not wanting that oversight, right? Mm-hmm. So that still remains to be seen. Do we see some constant oversight at turkey tracks? Is that feasible? For one thing, financially feasible, right? But I think that's probably a question that people familiar with that area are probably asking for sure. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Something to follow.
Yeah. Interesting to me again. I don't know.
No, I find it interesting too.
Just a part of our national forest that maybe we don't think about so much in the Front Range.
Yeah. And I mean, you hear the same debate going on, with things like hiking, like, how much oversight and involvement should there be? How much development should there be?
Yep.
So the same thing pertains to, firearms.
Yep.
Too, so.
And just our changing wildland urban interface. That's a phrase we hear in the fire world, of course, but it's also a phrase in the recreation world where there's a lot of interests and how do you manage all of those interests? And most definitely there's safety like right in the middle of that. So yeah.
Dang. Yeah. Interesting stuff. We'll have to follow along with that one.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. I think that's all we got for today. I think we set a new record for our longest episode.
Sorry.
Almost an hour probably. If I'm timing this right.
I mean, get me going on Chicago pizza. Like,
I know,
what do you expect?
I know, man. I know. Also, we were going to talk about what our favorite pizza spots are in Colorado Springs. We'll save that for next time. Yeah. And maybe just Colorado in general. Maybe
I think we take it
include the whole state. There's enough good pizza, just like there's enough good burgers, just like there's, Colorado has pretty good food. I don't understand the bad rap it gets. But I think that's all we got for today. So one last time, I'm Spencer.
I'm Seth.
And we got Tim on audio and video production. And we will see you
out there.